China Power, 15th of February 2024, relationships between China and India are not likely to advance much. China is arming Pakistan to wage war against India, funding terrorists, and waging an all-out assault against the Indian subcontinent. It is also attempting to divide and conquer India. It is improbable that India-China ties will improve much in the upcoming year. Following a confrontation over their disputed border in 2020, tensions between the two nations sharply escalated. Since then, there have been over a dozen negotiations, but little progress has been made. Although allowing the situation to worsen may not be in China's or India's best interests, there is a severe risk. The fierce disagreement between the two Asian behemoths has multiple causes. One is the shifting power dynamics between the two nations, which makes India feel more insecure. India's economy is expanding quickly, making it a rising power, but China's rise has been much more significant and remarkable. India is under a lot of strain since China has been able to use its enormous economic resources and influence locally and worldwide. Beijing has used this political pressure on India on several occasions. For example, despite a personal plea from Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi to China's leader Xi Jinping, China blocked India's bid to join the Nuclear Suppliers Group, NSG. In an attempt to become more integrated into the International Non-Proliferation Framework, India has been pursuing membership in the Nuclear Suppliers Group, NSG, a nuclear technology control system, for several years. In a similar vein, China has frequently used its clout to thwart India's attempts to add Pakistani citizens wanted by India on terror-related charges to a UN watch list. Beyond this kind of political pressure, the increasing disparity in military might is also significant. Due to competition between the US and China, China's military might expand quickly. For instance, China is the only nation outside the US to have simultaneously built two stealth fighter aircraft. India used to feel proud to be the only nation in Asia with aircraft carriers. Still, China has since added two more, and its new class of Pages can carry almost twice as many people as India's. China is also producing naval ships faster than India can keep up with. These carriers will probably start operating in waters nearer to India sooner rather than later. India has yet to issue an official statement in the public domain. Still, China's recent and unparalleled proliferation of nuclear weapons will probably start to wear down India's ability to act as a deterrent. At least in part, years of neglect and underinvestment in India's conventional military force have resulted in a decline in that country's military might relative to China. An acute scarcity of artillery weapons, main battle tanks, light tanks, infantry combat vehicles, various types of helicopters, assault rifles, carbines, and sniper rifles was reported in an Indian media story, which quoted a senior defense official. In the meantime, the rapidly diminishing underwater fleet of the Indian Navy is making it difficult to maintain its inventory. India possesses 15 tactical submarines, many of which have been repaired and modified to prolong their operating lifespan, even though they should have been retired several years ago. There are severe shortages in the Indian Air Force as well. Not only does the Indian Air Force lack mid-air refuelers and rotary wing aircraft, but it also possesses just 29 squadrons against a strength of 42 fighter squadrons. Adding to these problems, India has been concerned about the potential for a two-front threat, China and Pakistan working together to exert military pressure on India, to arise. The contested and undelineated border between China and India exacerbates these fears even more. The border dispute has a lengthy historical background, but China has made progress recently. This resulted in a 71-day standoff in the Doklam region in 2017 at the tri-junction of India, China, and Bhutan. China appears to have intentionally sparked a conflict in the Galwan River Valley in 2020, which claimed the lives of numerous people. There has been no disengagement of the military forces after more than 3 years, despite 19 rounds of military-level talks, several meetings between the foreign ministers, and even between the two leaders outside of previous summit gatherings. There is still a significant possibility of escalation because more than 60,000 troops are regularly stationed on both sides of the border. The border dispute is unlikely to be settled anytime soon because neither side is showing many signs of flexibility. China's anxieties have grown due to India's response to the worsening India-China relations. Much to China's dismay, India has strengthened its alliances with the US, Japan, and Australia, mainly through the Quadrilateral Security Dialogue, or Quad. But as sporadic developments suggest, these are not comfortable ties for India. India's stance on the Russian invasion of Ukraine and its ongoing flirtation with Moscow indicate that Despite New Delhi's efforts to strengthen ties with the US and other Quad partners, Russia will remain a crucial security ally for India. The fact that India is strengthening its alliances with the US and its allies despite its unease speaks volumes about how uneasy New Delhi is with China's influence and actions. However, this also implies that the relationship between China and India would become much more difficult. At first, Beijing wrote off the Quad as nothing more than sea foam that would soon blow over, but as the alliance has gradually strengthened security ties throughout the area, Beijing has grown more assertive. Their reactions to one another intensify the turmoil in their relationship, which is starting to resemble a spiraling security crisis. Therefore, it is likely that the already tense relations between China and India will only get worse. There is almost little chance that the border dispute and the ongoing tensions between the two nations will be resolved. And the possibility of an escalation persists as long as troops are gathered along the border.